Steve, just like normal mountain bikes, there's loads of different travel options on the market. How do you pick the right one for yourself?
Yeah, it's a big question, and you know, a lot of people get really stressed out about whether they're getting the right travel bike for them. But if you look at e-mountain bikes, the kind of weight difference between, say, a 135 and a 180 isn't really that much different.
Yeah, on paper they look pretty similar, so let's take them to the trails and see how they compare.
So what e-mountain bike to choose in terms of travel? On the left here we have the Specialized Levo, 135mm rear, 150 front. Here is the Kenevo, 180 front and rear. The Levo is carbon front end, carbon wheels, whereas the Kenevo here is aluminium chassis and aluminium wheels. Now, on traditional bikes, on such a test like this, the 135 will probably rule the climbs, whereas the 180 bike is going to totally dominate the descents. But look, we don't know what's going to happen here, so we're going to do an uphill and downhill challenge to get the pros and cons of both bikes.
Well, I've left Steve to do the timing, and I'm really excited to ride my 180mm travel high bike to see if this is the type of bike that I would pick. So the 180mm travel really means I'm sticking to the ground on the downhill stuff, but also in the corners I've got some really supple section of that suspension right at the start, which means I'm really gripping. Also the weight of the bike helps with that grip. One thing to mention is with that e-assist, even if I mess up that corner and don't carry much speed, I can get straight back on the pedals and up to speed again. So the 180mm bike feels as good as you'd expect downhill really. If we're comparing them to normal bikes again, I haven't ridden a bike over 170mm travel for actually a few years now. So this bike definitely feels like it's got a lot of suspension, it really tracks the floor, and obviously the weight of this bike actually converts to a lot of grip on the ground. At the moment, I'm really impressed with the 180mm travel bike. Right Steve, the 180 bike down the hill is great, it's so much fun, very stable, but I think on jumps this bike is going to be really playful. Let's have a go, shall we?
Do you know what? I'm going to leave the jumps to Don, I think.
Definitely on the jumps, the 180 bike actually feels really good. It's super playful. It's got alloy frame, alloy wheels. I don't know if I'd be quite so confident about doing that on a short travel bike, the carbon frame and carbon wheels. This bike feels so robust. I think the jumps really suit the 180mm travel bike. So how was that, Steve? That looked like hard work.
Thanks for that, Don.
Oh, I had loads of fun, it's great. Good fun watching. Right, before I hit you with the times, how did it feel, the two bikes?
Yeah, look, Levo versus Kenevo. The Levo definitely felt a livelier bike, both uphill and downhill. But that's only to be expected really. It's got a carbon chassis, got carbon wheels, but I think you need to be careful between liveliness, it was just more feedback through the system. Kenevo, on the other hand, Whew, oh my God.
Like a monster truck.
Like a monster truck, less feedback, a smoother ride. But I gotta say, I was murdering myself. It felt like when up that hill there.
Yeah,
honestly,
big bike.
I just felt like the lever was a faster bike uphill.
But could you ever imagine pedaling a normal 180mm travel bike up that hill?
Not a hope in hell.
You wouldn't do it, would you?
No, totally.
Right, so
what's the times? What are the times?
So start with the downhill, because that's quite interesting.
Yeah, well, 180.
You did exactly the same time.
Get out of here.
It was only short, it's 152 on both bikes.
Really?
I guess the bikes are limited, the pedal assist, so once you hit that maximum speed,
okay,
you're not pedaling much over the top of that.
Look, I guess what we're talking is, this is one hill, one day, same bikes, okay? On another track and different day, it might be different, but I'm actually gobsmacked that a 135 bike is the same as a 180.
So a slightly livelier bike compared to something with a lot of grip and a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
So now to the interesting part, the uphill times. The Levo, the short travel bike, did it in 3 minutes 49. Canevo, the long travel bike, did it in 3 minutes 42.
Really?
7 seconds faster on the long travel bike.
I mean,
what does that mean?
Well, it goes to show that you gotta go by fact, not by feeling, right?
True, yeah.
Yeah.
But it goes so that both of them can climb.
Both are great. Both are great.
And you got up and down that hill in 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that would take half an hour probably back at home.
But the question is, again, what travel would you choose? I think I'm really appreciating the long travel, the big terrain. I can get up there, I can smash it back down. I'm going to pick the 180mm travel bike, please.
Yeah, do you know what? On rocks, big terrain, I'm going to go for 182, and the possibilities are endless. But ultimately, both are great.
You weren't limited downhill on the Levo.
Totally not limited on either bike.
For a couple more videos from EMBN, don't forget to click on these links down here. Up there to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video.